Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. And don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leach. You are listening to the broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world at Time for Hemp on iHeartRadio, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and everywhere else on the internet. People like to get together with their favorite buds and take Time for Hemp. We have Mary Lynn Mathre and Al Byrne as our joint host. Mary Lynn and Al, thank you for being on the broadcast. I know we've got a joint friend on the show as well, who's been on the show a lot, member of our family, Paul Armentano.
Well, thanks, Casper, for having us on. So I'd love people to look for Patients Out of Time at www.medicalcannabis.com. And yeah, today we've got Paul Armentano on with us from NORML. And one of the things that Paul's done a lot of research on is looking at the impairment for cannabis, the potential of impairment, and is that a threat to society? Is that a threat on our roads, in the workplace, etc.? Just kind of catch us up a little bit, Paul, as far as where you are, what's going on, and then we can get into some impairment issues.
Thank you, Mary Lynn and Al and Casper, for having me on. And this year certainly started off with a bang. This has been a banner year for marijuana law reform, as I'm sure anyone listening to the broadcast knows.
Sure is.
Your help with us has been quite lengthy and quite intense in that I've not seen, frankly, a writer of technical cannabis science better than you. And I would like you at some point to tell the listeners how they can read some of your work. Let's just tell the folks right now about impairment. As Mary Lynn stated, right away, Reefer Madness has started. And what we want to do is put out information that is accurate and real, not scare tactics and stuff. So I think just to keep everybody calm down that might be having problems with this, how about going into your history of study on this issue and what you found out after looking at it all?
Well, I think this is an important issue we're going to have to talk about, because I really do think that we are sort of at the beginning of the end of prohibition as a legal policy. And as prohibition or criminalization of marijuana begins to morph into a regulatory system, there is going to be less focus on sort of the rhetoric surrounding marijuana is bad to this notion of, okay, how do we address the idea that cannabis is in fact a temporarily mood-impairing or mind-altering substance? And just like we understand that we have alcohol that is legal, but we have to have regulations and rules regarding set and setting, who can use the substance, where they can use it, it's very likely that we as a society are going to confront many of those same issues and have to hash out very similar details and regulations regarding cannabis. And my concern as we approach this issue is that we don't have a public policy response regarding cannabis and potential impairment that is disproportionate to the behavioral effects of cannabis. And that's why I think it is important for us, particularly as reformers, to acknowledge that if we have a sound public policy to address those, it can't be a disproportionate public policy. Like, for instance, many of the what are known as zero tolerance per se policies we are seeing emerge in several states regarding risks surrounding marijuana and driving, or like the typical urinalysis drug testing policies that we see that are fairly common in the workplace that actually don't address the issue of present impairment, but literally are simply provide information on whether or not a person at some unspecified past point in time may have come in contact with cannabis.
Thank you very much for having us, Casper. We love this show.
Yeah, the money.